All right. Thanks so much. Hey, what's happening, everybody? How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. Thanks, Alan, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Thank you to everyone else who's tuning in, either now live or when you're rewatching this. Appreciate you taking the time to do this. This is Workout Wednesday, data to dashboard. We're going to spend the next 60 minutes going over the most recent Workout Wednesday challenge and seeing how far we can get in the challenge. Hopefully we can complete it all. I will say that I have seen some tweets and posts about how difficult this challenge is. Like I said, we'll just take it as it comes and see what we can do with it. So with that, let's go ahead and first thing I need to do is turn on Do Not Disturb so we don't hear any weird notifications. There we go. All right, so Workout Wednesday. Can you filter a small multiples chart? Okay, so small multiples, sales by quarter for a given dimension. So that is not necessarily a small multiple. That's a trellis chart, because that is, the trellis chart is one dimension paneled together in a sheet. Small multiple is multiple dimensions in one measure, right? So that's that. At least that's how I define it. So I'd call this a trellis or panel chart. Yeah. Oh, we've got beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Okay. Well, super cool. Well, let's figure out how to do that. All right. This will be good. Hey, Rob. Nice to see you. Okay, so let's do the... Oh, I need to go get the data. Are we using different data? Nope, we're just using the... we're just using old Superstore. So let's do Superstore. Oh, okay. If you download the hyper file, okay. Well, let's go get that. Sure, why not? All right, let's close this. Let's connect to data. More. I always thought I found it interesting that a Tableau data source is not on the list of files that you can connect to. You have to click more. I've always thought that's interesting. Okay. Okay, well, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but we'll use her data set. Okay. So we know that we're going to have order date of quarter. So the beginner is create a line chart for each sales modified by quarter. Okay. That displays it. Use small multiple chart to display these lines. Uses sales modified. Oh, okay. So it's this one. Put it that. That's all right. We'll create a calculated field. Do sales modified. Whoop. Here we go. Okay, so it's okay. So basically, where sales is if the sum of sales is less than $5,000, then multiply it by 10%. Okay. All right. So we did that. we splitting it out by? Create a line chart for each state. Got it. Okay. Use small multiples to create a grid. Okay, so let's do, again, let's do, I know it's Tableau trellis. I never can remember these calculated fields. Thankfully, we have Thankfully, we have blogs to help us out, right? So this is index. Column. And we'll do, so this is column. And I'm just going to hard code that because we know we want 3 columns. And then row is this. And that's this. Oh yeah, I don't need that. Right there. All right, both of these are going to be discrete. So I can put column here and row here, and I'll put state or province on detail. Whoa, Tableau flipped around the why would they do that? So in 24.1 they switched around the order of the cards or the shelves on the mark card. It's interesting. Wonder if that was intentional or not. Okay. Well, I know that I want this to be on state. Right. No, that's not right. Oh, I need to do both of them. There we go. But this looks not right, right? Because we've got a whole bunch of things here. So let's do because we haven't padded our data, right? Essentially, that's what's happening here, because Tableau is not sure how to order this. Because if we look at the same thing here, right? Like we'll go quarter, and then we'll do. I'll just put state here, right? You can see that there are missing. There are states that are missing, right? So when it tries to do that index calculation, Tableau has a hard time doing that because of that. So let's do date trunk. Well, here, let's do this. Order date, create a custom date of quarters, and we want it to be that. Date value is good. I'll replace that there, and now, right, is it well, no. Oh, it's not attribute. I thought it was attribute. Isn't that how we did it? I remember we had a very similar issue. So basically what I need is, if I can figure out a way to get these nulls, right? If I can get these nulls to be zeros, if I can figure out a way to pad that so that I get a row for everything, right? So let's do there we go, show missing values. Is it as easy as that? Surely not. No. Yeah, because we still get so that's column, this is rows. I don't think that's going to necessarily change anything if I do this. And Tableau is slogging. And Tableau just kind of burped. So I think we're going to have to quit Tableau and start over again. Hooray. This is the fun part of doing this live, is you never know what's going to happen, right? So apparently I broke Tableau. Okay, let's force quit. Yep. All right, let's start over here. Okay, are we there yet? There we go. All right, we're back. And I think we can just use Superstore, and then let's create a calculated field, and that'll be the this guy, modified sales. Sales modified. There we go. create a calculated field. Columns, which is this guy. And we know that this is just going to be 3. And then we have row. This is 3. Okay, and then I'm going to create I'm just going to create a calculated field, and this will be quarter date, and it's just the date. It's the same way as doing the custom date, but this is just another way to do it. So we're going to date trunk to the quarter of order date. Make that an actual date, not a date time. All right, so we also want it to be continuous. Okay, so we have rows and columns divided by, we want them to be dimension, discrete. So column goes up here, row goes up here. State is here, location. State on detail. And let's go ahead and do a data source filter to only look at the US states, because I want to. That'll make it easier. Country, Canada, exclude. There we go. So let's just get this right here. So we have that and that. Right? Why is that divided? I should not have rows being... This should be... Oh. Well, that's strange. See how it's dividing it? It's dividing it up, but we still have 3 that are less than 1. If we go, let's go in here and let's force this not to be a float, but an integer. There we go. See that? Sometimes it's the little things, right? Okay. So now I have a panel, right? So what you can essentially think of is each square is going to be a panel, right? So what we're essentially going to be doing is each square is going to be the quarterly sales for a state, right? And you can see here that we've got everything kind of working the way that it should. So if we bring that out here and we do exact date, and then we put sales modified on here, we still get the spaghetti. But the spaghetti looks better than it did, right? Because we we forced our rows to be an integer. And I think now, nope. Oh, because we need to, yeah. So we need to account for the work either. I'm pretty sure we did this. Oh, I've done this a while ago where I've had this thing and I fixed it with an attribute. Oh! Okay, I got it. So let's do... I know what I need to do. This does need to be an attribute. But I need to add the actual quarter date. I need to add that to details because an adder function it's an aggregate function, right? Therefore, it can't be used in table calculations, so it can't be used in partitioning or windowing or anything like that. But I still need it because I still need to be able to account for account for that in all of my trellises. So the way that we're going to get around that is we're going to add quarter date. We're going to add that to detail. And of course, Tableau breaks my calculation. We want exact date. And we want discrete. And look at that. And there it is. Right? That's exactly the way that I would, that's exactly how I expected it to go. That's how I expected things to go. But now you can kind of see that. So the attribute, what's going on here, right? So let's talk about this. So the attribute function says essentially it looks for one and only one value within a partition, right? And that's why when you use adder, when you use the attribute function sometimes you'll see a value and sometimes you'll see an asterisk, right? If you ever put it in a tooltip or you put it on, you'll see an asterisk, right? Or you'll see the actual value, right? So what happens is Tableau is aggregating this quarter to date within this partition. That's what the attribute function does. And if we were to remove this, and you can see that this is a function, right? This is an aggregate function, so it can't be used in the addressing or partitioning within our table calculations because Tableau doesn't know how to do that, right? And it broke. So, if we go back again, I'll show you this. We'll break it down because I want you to understand. I want people to understand this. And the best way to learn something is to teach it, right? So if we go back and we do this again. So Tableau is looking for one and only one value within the partition of all of these things, right? And so that's right. So there's the asterisk, right? It says, I don't know what you want me to do because I'm finding within the state of Alabama, in this view that you've set up, I'm finding multiple quarter dates. And by definition, I can only return one and only one unique value when you have the attribute function on it. I don't know what that is. So I'm just going to give you one value. And it's, I think, yeah. So it looks like it's defaulted to the first day, 1900, which is, a standard kind of default date, if you will. So what we're doing is we're going to change the level of detail, right? So one thing that you can do, this is why understanding level of detail, granularity, marks, right? So if you look down here, I'll zoom in and I'll do a bad job of it. So you can see we have 49 marks right now on this data source, or on this sheet. We have 49 marks. One mark for each state, essentially, right? But what we want is one mark per quarter per state, right? So the way that we do that is we're going to change the level of detail of our sheet. And the way that we're doing that is we're going to bring quarter date into the, where'd it go? There it is. Couldn't find it. So we're going to bring quarter date and we're going to bring it on detail and watch what happens to our marks. Our marks go from 49 to 181. Click exact date. Now we're back to where we were. We're back to the spaghetti when we had this field on rows without the attribute, right? But now that we have quarter date as a dimension on the level of detail, we can go in and we can now set our table calculations to compute on, we want the index function to be incorporating everything, but we only want it to be at the level of state. So if we do that for each of our calculations, so this is a really powerful, this is a really important lesson to learn when it comes to this, because you're going to want to build trellis charts a lot, but your data might have gaps in it, right? And as I mentioned at the very top of this live stream, we needed to figure out a way to pad the data, right? We needed values in every record, right? We needed values on every row of the partition. And you can see here, like for example, DC, right? DC didn't have its first sale until April of 22, right? So, but the partition is there, right? The extra rows in the partition is there because we're using attribute and quarter date. So anyway, so that is, again, that's pretty interesting. So if we go back to our guide here, so that is the beginner challenge, right? So that's the beginner challenge. Yeah, exactly, Rob. I would say that this is not for a beginner, because that required several levels of understanding of table calculations and attributes. So so if you made it this far, awesome. Okay, I'd chalk that up as a win. If you've been using Tableau for a very small amount of time and you were able to figure that out, you are on your way. And even if you just figured it out while watching this, if you can fully understand everything that I walked through, you are sitting pretty. All right, so now let's go to the intermediate level here. So we're going to add a reference line for each state. The reference line represents a threshold value defined as the average for each state multiplied by 2. Okay, so let's do that first. So we're just going to stay with this. And what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn, again, if you're just tuning in, like this is what I love about doing this, is we get to learn lots of different little things, not just how to build this in Tableau, but we're learning how Tableau goes about building stuff like this, right? So average line as a reference line. So I'm going to go sales modified at the pane, right? So what that is doing, so you can see here we have a line, and that line is different for each pane. And each pane is just every intersection of each intersection of two dimensions on a sheet is the pane, right? The table is everything at the whole thing, right? The pane level is the intersection of two dimensions, right? So we want to, that's why we set it to pane, and it's doing that, right? But now what she said, what Erica wanted us to do is not just do an average line, but it's the overall average. So it's basically this line multiplied by 2, right? So here's how we do that. And this is why I'm showing you reference lines first, because reference lines are a really great introduction to table calculations and window functions. Because the way that you set up a window function in Tableau, so think window sum, window average, window min, window max, think those, all of these right here. Essentially what you have to do is, this is the window function, so we're doing a window minimum or a window maximum or a window average. That's the function we're going to call in Tableau. And then within that, you have to put some sort of an aggregate field. And guess what? That's what that is right here. So if you can take this value, if you can take this user interface and break it down, this is how you write window functions in Tableau. So I'm going to keep that there for now, and I'm going to show you how we can how we're going to do this. So I'm going to create a calculated field, and this is the threshold, and that's going to be the window average of sales modified. Window average of sales modified. But we want to multiply it by 2. Okay? And then we'll look for threshold. And then we will add it to detail. Change our compute using to be pane across, because again, we're doing it by pane, so we'll just do pane across because we want the average sales across quarters, right? Now we'll go in here, we'll add a reference line, we'll add another reference line at the pane level of sales. And now instead of this, we'll do this, all right? And now you can see we have 2 reference lines. One is the average reference line for each state, and one is the average reference line times 2, right? And we'll go ahead and we will, does she have the values on here? Yes, she does have the values. So the label is going to be the value. And the tooltip is none. Looks like it's a dotted line. And it looks darker than that. So let's do, there we go. And now we can get rid of just our average line. Okay, so there's that. All right, so we've done that, done. Add a red circle to highlight all points where sales modified goes above the threshold. Okay, very good. So what we're going to do for that is we'll do another calculated field, and this will be greater than threshold. We'll do sales greater than threshold is the name of the field. And that's going to be sales modified greater than, does she say above, just above. So we'll do a greater than. And we'll do just above, or is it above and below? Nope, it's just above. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll do above. Above what? Above the threshold. Click OK. And I think what we'll need first, we'll need to actually, so that's just the Boolean. That's how we're going to, well, let's see here. I'm trying to think. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's modify this. So we'll say if that, then return sales modified. That's going to allow, this is going to allow us to, it's actually going to be a continuous measure. And we need to do pane across. And now I'm not getting any results. I get it there. Ah, okay. Let me think about why you can't do that. There we go. Not entirely sure about this. We'll see what happens. Dual axis. Synchronize. Nope. Something is... Do I need to do this? Yeah, I think I do. I need to do that. And... Well, now I don't have a line anymore. Oh, is that because it's there? Let's get rid of this. I don't need measure names. Alright, so that did change a few things. And that got my... But I still don't have a... So I'm seeing, so let me do this real quick. Let's change this to circles. Okay. Yeah, see? This, I don't know why that's... So what do we need to do here? We need to change that to a circle, change this to red, and change this to a black line. Drop the size like that, something like that, right? So I'm still not I've still got some values that are for some reason not what is going on here? If sales modified is greater, yeah, than threshold, and my threshold is, let me think about this. Let's do this again. Reference line, Burr by Payne, and that's the average. So why would we have the value? So 17, I would expect 30, I would expect that to be 35, wouldn't you? Like 17, 737 times 2. Is 35, yeah. 17, right? I would expect this to be, I would expect that to be that. I would expect my threshold line to be at 35, but it's not. And just make sure. Oh, what was that? 35, is that 17? 737 times 2, 35,474. Okay. And so then I need to change this one. There we go. And now I can get rid of that. So we've confirmed two things. One, so again, let me think about this. Could we have gone back to... Could I have gone back to just paint across? Is that... Yeah. I thought it was paint across. I shouldn't doubt myself. Yeah. So paint across just means do the average values across this partition, which is, what is across the partition? Quarter. So that's working. So that's good. Okay. So now all of our dots are working, right? So there's all of the dots that are above this threshold. And I'm just doing a quick scan, and that looks pretty good to me. All right. So we can check that off the list. Use a pale red reference band around the final point if this point is above the threshold. Okay, so how are we going to do that? So essentially what she's saying is, so let's just focus on, so if what? Let me see here. First, let's format this to Q1 of, okay, so there's that, and edit this. Tick marks every quarter. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, so then Q424. All right. So the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out how we're going to add a reference band. We can, let's clean up a little bit here. I don't want a title. And we can get rid of this. It's already synchronized. Get rid of our null indicator. There we go. Okay. So we want to know if only the last point. So we want to evaluate. So let's do index. Well, we've already got an index. Let me do size or let's and change this to index. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, no, we don't want that. We want to. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right, let's look at this requirement. Around the final point, okay, so it's not just the maximum quarter, it's if the last point, right? So here is that. I wonder if there's, so here is that, so it, so there's that. I'm curious if there is a situation like this, right, where it's shorter. It doesn't go all the way to the end, but it's reversed. The shape of this line is reversed so that the red dot is at the end of the line rather than the beginning. I'm curious if there are any situations like that. I don't see any, so that's good. Anyway, but so I have 16 here. Now what I need to do is so we'll call this yeah, we'll just call this quarters. Quarter count. That's essentially what we're doing, right? Quarter count. And then what I need to do is create a calculated field that just puts, that does the size, total quarters. I'll put that also there. But now I'm going to set these at the same granular. I'm going to set them to use the same compute using, which is just quarter. Okay. All right. So what we've done is we're building this out, right? I'm building it out piece by piece because it's the best way that I know how to do things. So we have, you can see 211, 811, 915. So this is the second point out of total 11 total points. This is the 8th point out of 11. This is 16. So what I need to do is create a calculated field now that says, what are we going to do? Let's do, because I need a band. And I need to do a reference band. But first, let's just if quarter count equals total quarters, right? So that's the first part. Is this the last point in the partition? And sales modified is greater than threshold. I don't even need an if statement. Well, yeah, I do. Well, first off, let's just, now, what do I want to do here? Then what am I going to return? Let's see if there's any hints whenever I go to the interactive version. Okay, so there are, so I do know that that's a band. right? I do know that we are using reference lines for this, but she's turned off values and tooltips, so I don't get any. Okay, so can I just do order date? Yeah, I didn't think so. Then what are we gonna do? Let's do, because quarter count and total quarters, sales modified this. So what if I just do like, I want to know which. Okay, so I do need to figure out what to do with that. So okay, how about we just do max order date? Just for now. Again, build this out piece by piece. You don't have to have the whole complicated calculation figured out. Let's build it out piece by piece. That's why I did the index first, and then I did the size, and I got each part of it right, and then we combined everything. So I'm just going to do this. So this is saying if the count of quarters is equal to the total number of quarters, so where 16 equals 16 or 11 equals 11, or where these two numbers equal, and this number, this red dot, or this dot is red, essentially, then return whatever the max order date is. I don't know if, I don't know if that's going to be the right final number, but we'll see. And yeah, calculation one is like my favorite calculated field name. I use it way too much. So let's break precedent, and let's actually call this ref band test for now. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on detail. Because it's an aggregate measure, it's not going to mess up my table calculations, because it's an aggregated date, and because it's aggregated, it's not a dimension, so that's why it's doing that. But now let's add a reference line, and let's see if it didn't. Okay, what if we first let's do this. We got to edit the table calculation to be quarter date, and it's quarter date, yep. And then threshold is pane across, okay. Yep, and that's right. That's the right level. And so right now we've got that. But I can't use a reference line because it's already been aggregated. Okay, so how do we get around this? Still not there. Well, let's just make sure this is working, right? We'll just do this for now. And let's change this back to continuous, and then let's just drop this here, and let's see if I get. I should see a dot here. And I'm not. Okay. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate you tuning in. Okay, so let's see here. What's going on? How do we get this red dot? No. But again, we didn't even get this to... Let's duplicate this. Oh, not that. There we go. I'm just trying to see if there's a... Because what we can do is we can do quarter count, total quarters. Quarter count, quarters. There we go. And then Okay. And then let's do ref band test. What? Oh. Okay. So I have that. So it is working the way that I want it to, right? So let's figure out, I have pane down. Can we do quarter? Yes. Okay. So everything is done. Quarter count is at the quarter, total quarters at the quarter, threshold at the quarter, okay? So let's do that at the quarter. Okay. So I got that. But now can I do what? What are we doing here? I essentially want to. So we know that we know that this is working. What we want to do is date add. Well, let's just do this. Let's just quarter date. Min. Discrete. Down. Yeah, quarter date. Okay. All right. So there's that. And then can I do? Okay, I'm getting somewhere. Can I do? So this is ref band min. We're getting there. You see it? Duplicate. Whoop. Look at that. Hot diggity dog. Okay, so let's go back to here. Hopefully I can do this now. Let's do ref band min at the quarter, ref band max at the quarter. Add a reference line, a band between the min and the max. Make it red. Nope. Make it red. I don't know what the color is. What does this thing look like? There we go. Now I can take... Look at that. I love this. I love solving problems. I love taking things out piece by piece, breaking it down, and figuring things out. So, that, and there we go. And now you can see... if it's the max, right? There it is. Awesome. Let's see. What else? Did that. Done. I did it. I did beginner and intermediate. I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it there. I do not have the time right now. So again, I try to do this in an hour. I give myself everything I can do within an hour. I got through both, intermediate and beginner. So I think that's good. But this was a really fun challenge. Again, I love solving puzzles. This was a giant puzzle. And we learned a lot about table calculations today, did we not? A lot about table calculations and reference bands and reference lines and attribute functions and all that kind of fun stuff. So really great challenge. And there's more, right? So if you want to tackle the advanced part, please go right ahead. I probably will give it a go, but at a later time. So I've got some other things I got to do today. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. It really makes this enjoyable. So thank you to Alan, thank you to Rob for tuning in, and all of those that tuned in that I didn't see comments from. That's okay. You don't have to comment. Not asking you to. But really appreciate you tuning in. We'll do this again next week. Tune in next Friday for another Workout Wednesday live stream. On Tuesday, I will be doing a Back to Viz Basics walkthrough build. So a little bit different, but same premise. We go from data to dashboard. My name is Sean Miller, Hipster Viz Ninja. Like that bubble says, we are all data people. Go forth and viz.